research and have ministry in over 100 nations of the world. And I have tried to collect items from each nation as possible that will help to tell me something about the culture of those people. Because if you don't learn the people, how can you teach them? You're just talking, and that's not what I wanted to do. For example, this beautifully carved table was from the Philippines, and it was given to me after I had taught an intensive course there in intercultural communication. You note that it is not only three-dimensional, which is not uncommon in some Philippine carvings, but it also has perspective. You can see in the distance a couple going into a church. In the foreground, you see they're roasting a pig because this is a wedding feast, and the bride and groom are doing a traditional limbe wedding dance where they have to jump over the pole that is held in front of them as they keep in step. And then the pole is raised higher and higher. They show their skill in dancing that way. And of course we have a very common type of orchestra that's accompanying this in the village feast. See a pillow that I picked up in Ethiopia. We sometimes forget that Ethiopia was the oldest Christian nation in Africa. And the Ethiopian cross comes in many forms. This one form is often one used in embroidery. You can see the cross shape. They have different crosses, and they can tell you whether it's a cross of Lalibela or some other place. I don't know that much, but it's interesting that the cross is central in Ethiopian cultural tradition. Is from Africa, the copper work of Zimbabwe. Something from Burundi, these two clay sculptures. This was back, I'm trying to think of the year, somewhere about 1960. This shows traditional culture, making of a bark cloth and the baking of something like bread in an oven made with a pot over a fire. The artists in that particular group were very, very skilled. Unfortunately, about 1972, in the early part of 1972, a terrible genocide broke out in Burundi and over 500,000 people were killed, including the artists in that colony from which these sculptures came.
We are in Dr. Smith's study room. This is where he comes to think about what he's going to teach, and of course what he has taught and something new he's going to bring. And this room has most of the awards he has been receiving over the years.
Then we prize this very, very much. That Daystar University, you can see the star, our logo. Daystar University gave this along with the Doctorate of Letters, the D.Lit, in 2006. We were privileged to be able to come back from where we were teaching in the U.S. at that time for this. In 2010, I was given the St. Paul Award at the conference called From Edinburgh 1910 to Tokyo 2010. My wife and I also started the Worldview Center in Portland, Oregon for international students. And the Spanish people particularly appreciated that. And in Lima, on the 8th of April 2010, Lima, Peru, they gave us jointly this award in appreciation for the work at Worldview Center and the WorldLink Graduate Center. I was Dean of the WorldLink Graduate Center, where we had an MA program, e-learning, online for people around the world to learn missions and intercultural studies. I suppose that many people our age enjoy sitting in the sun and visiting new places. We're not really very interested in that. We're not interested so much in the past and the memories of the past as challenging and delightful and sometimes sad as they are. But we are trying to look ahead. I like Paul's words the best. Forgetting those things which are behind, I press forward for the prize of the high calling in Christ Jesus.
We are in a house full of history and memories. A man who has traveled from Africa and other continents. He has seen it all. His advice to us is God is in control and we should all practice being servant leaders. For Politics Avenue, my name